Hey guys, it's Vince. Today in this video, I'm very excited to give you guys definitive proof that Pumotix is faster than Mach4. So rather than talk about it, what we've got here is Mach4 running. Of course, I'm running it in demo mode. There's absolutely no purpose in purchasing the software because, again, I just want to show you guys what kind of speed we're looking at, and in terms of using both motion control software side by side in comparison, running the demo G-code file, the Roadrunner, which comes bundled with Mach4. It'll naturally work with Pumotix as well, and you guys can definitively see what you're dealing with in speed. Now, one thing I want to point out is that Mach4 in demo mode has a time limit on it, or a G-code limit on it. Either way, it only allows you to run for basically 5 minutes and 41 seconds. So you'll find out in that time frame how many lines of code, and it'll be right here displayed, are able to be run in that amount of time. Now, I do not have a controller hooked to my system at all, so this is purely the software's horsepower processing the actual G-code, which I feel is more definitive because then it's completely unbiased as to what controller you're using. So again, we have line here 0, cycle time 0. We'll load the file. Here's the Roadrunner, and everybody is familiar with this. We've seen it. Again, I think the results are really going to be impressive considering the fact, number one, when we look at price, and also looking at the interface, which I don't know if many of you can see this. The cycle time view on this, just looking at the interface with Mach4, even if you come in here, and I'm just scrolling through, many of you are still unimpressed by what you're seeing because, again, it resembles a lot of Mach3. I get told that all the time. But this is the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what you're paying for. It's how fast can this software process the actual code. So rather than talk about it, let's hit start. You can see right here our lines are counting right now, and the cycle time is right now cycling. To give everybody an idea of what CPU I'm using, an Intel i7. My laptop has 32 gigs of internal memory, solid state drives throughout. It is an Asus gaming laptop. That was its actual definitive purpose, but I use it for everything from CAM design to, again, Vinyl Master, if I'm designing graphics for my system. So again, the system I'm using, as far as the PC, will be used in both programs. No punches are pulled. And I highly recommend you guys download Mach4 and run this sample on your system to see what time you get. Because again, many of you may not be running as strong a system as I am. And either way, if my system's going to show this result, most likely it's going to be extrapolated by whatever system you're running. So again, very, very interesting result due to the fact that no controller is attached. This is just the software running in demo mode to see exactly how much time it takes for the software to complete the task. And again, so we don't get too bored, you can see here in all the different screen sets what we're looking at. You've got your max extents, minimum extents. Again, there's not too much to explain with Mach4. In terms of, they did change a couple of the screen sets as far as showing you your probing, if you're doing measuring and whatnot, but overall the software is generally the same. I mean, there's really not too much discussion as far as making the software easily attained by an end user, and this is one of the things that get talked about all the time as far as messaging. Again, I'm just scrolling through. The thing about diagnostics, of course, we have no step and direction signals allocated to each axis, so you really don't know what's going on with your drives. I've discussed this before. You can see your toolpath box up here. Again, not much in terms of change of what we've seen before, other than them actually organizing things slightly different. I mean, there's really not a heck of a lot of changing. We come over here to MIDI. You guys seen this box before in Mach3. We go to Program Run. We can see where we're at right now. We're at about the 2-minute and 43-second mark, we just hit 892 lines, and she keeps skipping around, and you'll see that if we watch the lines of code, they just skip. It may stammer for a second, and then it goes up. This other point I want to make is that I've run this test with Mach4 conclusively, where we have not run the software connected to a controller in basic simulator mode. And again, ran it against Pumotix. And the time was absolutely dramatic. And I'll explain that once it's done. But overall, I get requests all the time, what's the comparison in, machining time between Mach4 and Pumotix? You guys will see that. And personally, and this is just my own personal opinion, even though people will say it's biased, I like a cleaner setup. I don't like all the little LEDs. I feel that all the actual text on this is much harder to read. A lot of the text is ultra small. And again, the whole idea here is not clutter. It's to make things effective. And when I say effective, if the end user, I feel, doesn't understand what half of the tabs are because there's lack of explanation, if we go over here and leave our cursor there, there's no explanation as to what any of these tabs are. So again, not a lot of time went into this. It's just a screen set. I'm sure there's other screen sets that are out if that's something you want to do. But if we're just looking at software, once again, out of the box, these are things to really pay attention to. And this is something that scares a lot of novices off, is that they see all these LEDs and, there's a lot of text here, but no explanation as far as what goes on. As a matter of fact, machine coordinates button, all of this stuff has been basically just repositioned from what we've seen in Mach4. And many of you already realize that. Now, right now, just to clarify, we're at 4 minutes and 47 seconds. We're at basically 1,600 lines. We're still counting. You'll see the software timeout, and then we'll get our total number to show exactly what was completed. Okay, we're at the 5-minute mark. $20 seconds to go. Okay, we're at 5 minutes 41 seconds. Lines of code completed, 2,063 lines of code. Okay, now what's interesting is I've received different lines of code every time I've run. Cycle time will be always the same as far as when the software craps out, but what's interesting is the line of code will vary between 2,062 and 2,063 lines of code. So we can see right here what we've got as far as the time and as far as the lines of code. I'll leave this software up. I'm not even going to close the software. I'm going to leave the software up. Okay. Now I'm going to go into Pumotix. Default settings in Pumotix. I'm not touching anything. And you will see that as we load. I'm going to go on the milling 9 axis because I've got a lot of guys wanting to see what our screen looks like as far as the full population of what you're able to do with it. Now you can see all 9 axis represented. And again, the HUD, I feel, is way more intuitive. If we leave our cursor, and I've discussed this before, you can see it's going to explain wherever you go. Okay, very simple. Here's our Roadrunner. We're already loaded. Axis roll 0. In order to process, you can see we've got our elapsed time up here. And I'm going to come over here, turn on the actual console. You can see everything changes in color. We're ready to go. I'm going to hit start. The simulator is selected as the active motion controller. Any manipulation in this mode will not affect the machine state. Continue, yes. And we're good. And we can watch exactly what happens. And of course, this is not demo mode. This is the actual software running in simulator mode. Now, as she completes, I'll let this whole unit actually get completed, and you will see the processing time in total. And then we can quantify it by looking at when Mach 4 naturally was triggered in terms of where it stopped. And as a matter of fact, if we come over here and I go to hit cycle start, watch what happens. The demo is timed out, please restart. So Artsoft, for whatever reason, wanted to give you guys a basic, 2062 or 63 line of code, and I think it's going by time limit because it stops at the exact same time. So it'd be 5 minutes you're able to use the software for whatever purpose. Okay, well, let's look at Pumotix. Okay, again, the intuitiveness over here, I want you guys to really pay attention to this current line number. You're at block 422 and it's counting fast, and it goes up to 4472. If we come back over here to Mach 4, we don't even know how many lines of code you're running in this total file. There is really no way to see it other than you actually coming over here, scrolling down your G code to actually see it. I'm just pointing these basic things out because a lot of times guys will want to know that amount of code, and it gives them a definitive time, because mentally as they run their equipment, they become more familiar with how long their machine will take on a certain amount of code. Now, of course, it's all dependent upon what machining task is at hand, but having this information here, I can't tell you enough how many guys feel that that's really important to know. And again, we have it right here where it counts. The other thing you're going to find is the jogging keys are right here. So if you wanted to jog, and again, this is under the 9-axis screen set, you've got everything right here. As a matter of fact, you have all your axis keys to jog. And again, our tool info, feed rate, rapid, I mean, everything here is well laid out as far as I'm concerned in terms of what you need, and of course your custom macros, which are amazing, especially to do any of your offsets. But now we're watching here again, and we're at basically 1,000 lines. We're coming up on 1,000 lines, and we're 2 minutes and 34 seconds elapsed time, and it's counting. The other thing I want to point out, and I'll show you as we go through, is you can see that as the spindle, in this case being simulated, is machining, you can see that we're actually seeing a real bright green line versus a contrast of white. So you know where it's been actually machined as far as the actual vectors on what we're actually going over on our substrate. If we come over here to Mach 4, I don't know if you guys can see it. Here you can see the contrast. As it's machining between the two over here, it's very difficult to tell. Now, I know that's kind of nitpicking, but I look at it as these are things that you would have thought would have caught their eye right out of the box. Now, this is stuff I'm just looking at. You guys can naturally, I'm sure, change this. It's not a feature I went in and actually looked at, but it is something I look at here. The other thing is, if you zoom in, like I said, the contrast here is dramatic. So it makes it very easy to see. The other thing you've got, as we're rolling, and I've discussed this before, is your legend. So you can scroll, recenter, you can choose all of your colors for your limits, your spindle, your rapid, your feed, everything here, and it's all explained, once again, by putting the cursor there. Okay? So again, very simple, very intuitive. If we come over to diagnostics, you can see now what I was explaining as far as true motor diagnostics. Motor signal state grouped by axis. You can expand each axis, come down, and for as many axes as you've got, you can come over here. I only have 3 axis enabled right now. Motor disabled, home pin, step pin, direction pin, and again, we're in simulator mode, so you're not seeing any of these populate. But you can see how clean this is. And again, it's really simple. I mean, there's only 2 tabs here. Everything else is laid out. So basically on your HUD is where you're going to see everything. Now we're coming up right now on that 5 minute, and let's just double check, 5:41 we're coming up on. And I will stop the software so you can see exactly where we're at. Now we've already surpassed Mach 4 right now. We're at 2,400 lines and we're counting. We've got about 38 seconds to go. I'm at 5 minutes and 18 seconds. You guys can see that now. Okay, here we go. We're at 2,800 lines. We were completed in 5 minutes and 41 seconds in Pumotix. 2,800 lines out of 4,472. You can see where we stopped. You can see what's been completed. You can see your elapsed time. We go back over to Mach4, and you've got an elapsed time of 5 minutes 41 seconds with lines completed 2,063. Okay, so let's look at it together. Okay, here you go. We did 737 more lines of code in the exact same time using two different softwares. That's the only difference. Exact same PC, exact same file. I didn't manipulate any settings. This is just me loading this screen set, and there you go. So proof is there definitively now. Now imagine that your controller, whatever controller you're using, and again, it all depends on what computer you're running, but the bottom line is that we just saw this in real time. And again, you can see the definitive difference. And regardless of what you want to run or what you don't want to run, the numbers don't lie. So again, I don't know how else to make it clear, but I feel that this really is what people wanted to see. They want to see what they're actually paying for. And when we look at the price, and the price point on Mach4, I believe, is $200 for Hobby Edition. I want you guys to keep that in mind, that it's $200 just for the software. And for Pumotix, it's $260 for the software with the PLCM E1B Ethernet motion controller. So for $60, you're getting a plug-and-play Ethernet motion controller with the software. I don't know how you beat it. Now, of course, when I say with the software, it's not coming with the 9-axis option you see here. However, even adding this option, I believe it's like 30 bucks. So break that down. There is no way anywhere that you're going to find that kind of stability using an Ethernet motion control that is plug and play with all of the accessories required to make it plug and play, and then come with the motion control software, which we just saw beat Artsoft's flagship hands down. And this is in sheer demo mode, which again, if it's in demo mode, it would behoove them to make sure the software is fastest in demo mode, because that's where most people are going to test it to see, hey, does this make sense to purchase? Now, I told you guys earlier in the video that I also tested this with Mach4. I'm not going to make you guys sit through it. You could take my word for it to test it yourself. Download Mach4 in demo mode. Mach4 versus Pumotix. Pumotix, to complete this whole file, only takes 7 minutes and 53 seconds, I believe. In Mach4, it took over 18 minutes. Over 18 minutes to complete this file. Now, again, I have nothing to lie about. You can go and download Mach4 and test it yourself. I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible. But again, the proof is here. The previous video I posted, once again with a Russian end user, because I wanted it completely to be unbiased. He didn't speak English. I've actually disclosed that. He went through, did real-world testing with the system, beat most of the software by a matter of seconds up to a full 14 seconds, okay, in completing a 1-minute operation for a machining project. Now, extrapolate it, guys. We're talking about a major performance difference, up to 23% in just that video. And what we've seen here, if we do the percentages, I'm just breaking this down real simple so everybody can see in real time what they're looking at. This is hard to deny. So again, I hope that the video has been helpful. I hope you guys have really learned something. And again, I will be doing more and more videos over time to show you guys what's going on. Right now we're working on an axis calibration video that we can do live. But again, I wanted to show you, number one, I hope you like the 9-axis screen set because I think it's real clean, real simple. Again, the workflow of it's very, very straightforward. Even on your configuration, something I pointed out before, you can see what you've got here. It isn't much, guys. This is very, very simple. Your settings, if we go into settings, the system will not let you manipulate anything when the console is on. So it protects you from actually doing any damage to your system. We come over here, close out, turn it off, and now you can go in and manipulate your settings. So again, we've done a lot of thought. I just wanted to show you in action. So if you guys do have questions, require quotes, whatever it may be, contact me direct at storm2313@gmail.com. Now I am going to say this, and this is not an exaggeration. This is not a ploy. Many of you have heard of these material shortages that are happening. I was just told by my Ethernet smooth stepper vendor that they are going to be raising the price. Now, if they raise my price, they're going to raise your price, okay, because they're having chip shortages, okay? We know gouging is going to happen. I don't think they're intentionally doing it, but of course, as shortages happen, this is something we're going to see in all markets. That being said, now you're even getting farther away from the price point that I've actually expressed in how much money you're saving using a PLCM. So again, I'm making that point known because if somebody sees in my store that the ESS goes up, my turnkey solution, there's a reason. This is what I was told. Yesterday, I was told that the pricing will be going up because there's chip shortages. So again, I wanted to be clear with that. If you guys, once again, have any questions, I'm always there, you know that. But I feel this video has definitively answered a lot of them. Thank you all for your support. Take care.